Now we're recording. All right. That's why I have that question in there. I don't forget that way, you know.
There you go.
All right, so let's try one other one. See if I can launch this one for you. This one's the things you don't like about Zoom. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Well, that's about all of the above as well. D, all of the above.
Well, you get an interesting mix going here. Good stuff. I'm going to end the polling, share the results. Now, see, there's some of the things, you know, and one of the main reasons I do this at the beginning of a session or something is to set a little bit of a tone and say, hey, what goes on? Because sometimes I get on sessions where people have no clue about they're making background noise and everything. And if you have that happen once, you get it, you know, without having to say, hey, by the way, people tend to get onto it better. So it's a good structure. I like to use it for that. So we'll see how this goes with all the rest of the fun things. One other thing I will be doing soon is that we'll have a little poll where we'll be using our cell phone. So if you have a cell phone close by, that's a good thing. It'll be a little bit later and we'll get into it. So let's start off with Greg sharing the screen, and we'll go in. Get to see my my dog here who has a little bit of a drinking problem. Yeah, he's like that. He carries that bottle of vodka around now and then.
So cute.
He can bring it
So,
here if he wants to.
yeah, he's a good guy. So here's the outline for the course real quick. You know, today we're talking about adjusting your vision, mission, and culture. You have quite a few documents. Don't be overwhelmed with all the documents you got today, because we're going to be using those for the first couple of sessions. And it really won't be until maybe the fourth or fifth that you're feeling cemented about what you have for each of those areas. Some cases you may have it, you know, where Samantha, you know, in your case, you may have this in place because people have been through it and they may document, but I want you to check and make sure that they do have it. As you can see, as we go down through the week, or I mean, you know, second day on Thursday, start to make it work. We start to set priorities, understand our goals and objectives, you know, and then we get into generating cash flow. So we start looking at the 5 ways how to market, how to bring more money into a company and get your investment being around your marketing rather than your marketing being an expense. That's kind of key at that point. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to work my screen so I can see everybody. And then after we're done with that, we'll move on into you know, maintaining the cash flow. So what's the demand? Part of the pent-up demand we're going to look at is based on what we've seen with the coronavirus situation in that section. You know, rebound better, ideal customers, how to get prepared for your Christmas coming up. What does that look like for a lot of businesses? Things will change. And so we want to talk about those adjustments. And we talk about growing customers, building a whole ladder of loyalty, how to make sure we get repeat business and keep getting it. Things like critical non-essentials, you know, we'll bring up there and how to, you know, put those in place. Lots on sales then for the kind of the next whole session. How to do sales. I go through the whole sales model. What's the best way to maybe do questioning, different techniques. I'll get into some of the DISC profiling at that point and talk about how we recognize different communication styles and how we make sure we connect with people in communication styles within that section. We move over then to managing, kind of handling objections. How do you set up key performance indicators? What's the team look like when you start building that? What's important for us to do on a weekly basis, on a daily basis? And we'll have charting and graphing and thinking about that and putting it in place for each of your businesses. Team building, one of my favorite areas. I love team building, you know, it's my thing, being a background and coach, and I'll tell you a little bit about that in just a second. Certainly leadership, 6 keys to a winning team. It might even be written still written on my board way back there in the back. I had a session with somebody today where I had to go through that. Systems, how to systemize your business, make sure it's running really smooth. And then mastery, we'll go right into the whole 6 steps, which is about creating a business that runs by itself, or at least runs with minimal involvement from the owner, and you end up with a a wealth event, so to say. How to build an asset, I'll go through that and all of the details accordingly. On the end, we have a graduation. Graduation with the program is that we play a game called Leverage, and we do it online. In last session, it went really, really well. And it takes all of the principles of what we've done in the course, and at the end you get to play a game and kind of use them and see how they work and get pretty good. And some of the math you'll go through in the course will be like, nah, but once you've done the game, you get it. So it was really funny. And then everybody in the course is included in Growth Club. Growth Club goes on October 2nd, and that is where we do a 90-day planning session one day. We had that as a Zoom session with gee whiz, we had 10 companies on in the last time we did that. And it was, at the end of it, people were saying, are we done already? It was very interactive, lots of polls, lots of breakout rooms, lots of sharing, and a real growth day that everybody left just like pumped up. So I'm excited about October 2nd already. And here we are on August the 18th. Real quickly about me, I don't like to talk a lot about me. I'm kind of shy that way, but some things you need to know, or maybe want to know. I was raised in Idaho. My father was a nuclear engineer with Westinghouse, and he was involved in building reactors and so on in the testing center in center of Idaho. I was raised in a town called Pocatello, ended up going to Calgary or to Canada, did a degree there, a Bachelor of Education, became a head coach at 21 years old, and pursued a coaching career for 14 years. Met up with this guy, John Wooden, when I was at California Lutheran University. Got to do his camps for him and got to work closely with him. What an influential person. This other guy to the right of him, Magic Johnson, I got to know him pretty well because I did all his camps for him, introduced him at some events while I was at Sun Microsystem. And then I was at Dell for a while. Last big role for me was I was the chief advisor for cloud services at Halliburton. Before, most of you know the story, I was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and I miraculously survived and saved and made my dedication, my purpose to doing what I'm doing right now at this moment and pretty much every day. And that's coaching and helping people any way I can. The guy in the top right corner is Brad Sugars. So once I joined and bought the franchise for Action Coach, he's the owner of it. I wanted to put him there as the leader. And I want to ask, can I be your coach for today? That background, how can you say no? All right, so real quickly, why don't you go to your cell phone? We'll try something a little different. So go to your cell phone and get to the URL and type in menti.com. Oops. A sec to make sure I get the right one. Dancing a little over here. And then what I'd like you to do, once you've typed that in, type in that code.
Is there spaces or is that just for us?
It'll just take, it'll space itself automatically, I think, in the when you pull it in. And what I'd like you to do there is type in any words that you can think about your company. All right, what words would best describe your business? And just type in a couple of words, whatever you think they are, exciting, thrilling, whatever. Type in a few of them, because we'll come back to this later. I know who that came from. So you can see what will happen here is...
I'm not very creative, am I?
But as you'll see, as you put these in, they'll come up as a wordgram. And we'll have a chance to kind of get an idea of how each of us think about our business. Different houses, sales. What goes on in your business? I'm looking for a woof woof.
Working on it.
Wine clubs and wine savings. So creating relationships might have been said twice, but most of these are all once. And if we would have said the same word and the same descriptor, it would have just got bigger in the word gram we're playing. But isn't that interesting? You can put more in. Certainly, I don't think there's a limit. But it gives you an idea. It's kind of a fun thing to get an idea from a group. And if the group's larger, of course, you get more. But you get an idea of what's going on. This is called Mentimeter.com. It's a fun thing to use. This is a free version I'm using with you right now. It doesn't cost me a thing. I can build 2 presentations kind of on that. But if you want to integrate it with more and do things, you can do things. I'd like to introduce you to new stuff while you're in the course. Has anybody been on Menti before? Used this? Yeah.
No.
Yeah, so it's very creative. Let me just say a little bit more about it. You can go in and create. I'll use it one time later where we'll do a ranking on it. A ranking of cultural values and things closer to the end of the program. But you can do like spider graphs. And so you can have, the graph will go out relative to maybe 10 choices people have, and the more they choose, when it goes out, you can do all kinds of ranking and really cool stuff with it. Might be good for seminars in the real estate world, and you get information from people. In fact, I have used it as home buyer events with Desiree. She's, I got her turned on to using it, Desiree on, if you know her. All right, let me get back to my other screen. Get enough things going, you almost can get confused. Bear with me a second. All right. Now, am I not sharing that screen? And now I got you. Okay, so to get the most out of training, I'll just want to say a couple things about brain and what goes on in our mind, is that you'll notice that I have a pen here with multicolors. And when I'm taking notes at a coaching session or whatever I'm doing, I put things in multiple colors, right? If I'm getting information about money and we're working on the money mastery of what we're doing, I write it in green. If it's an action item I've got to get done or something I owe my client or I'm going to be on, it's red. And other things I put in blue and black accordingly. But it's a good way to just coordinate your own self and you don't know. But it also creates, because pictures are your long-term memory. Your short-term memory is really words. So anytime in this training, think about why you're taking notes. It's all right. I used to be crazy as a teacher and think people who were doodling weren't really doing what they should have been. Well, that's the way they were learning. And so I have varying learning styles, and I'll talk quite a bit in the course about varying learning styles and varying ways to stimulate that. Words are for short term, pictures are for long term. So if you want to get short term stuff, scribble the words. But if you want to draw a picture about something and draw it, that will stay in your mind much longer. Make a point of power is kind of a concept we use all the time at Action Coach. And if I can, I'll just put it on here so you know what I like to do when I'm working with people in coaching sessions. I get them thinking about their or. So when people come to me with excuses, blames, or denial of something that's going on because they had work to do or whatever, a coach, you got to be a little bit of an unreasonable friend at times. So all I do is I just got to put my oar in my hand and give it one stroke, and they know what I'm talking about. They need to take ownership, accountability, and responsibility. And I think that's an important fundamental concept of life in general, and you have power when you do that. Certainly you can think about our pandemic and think, are there some people in that bottom quadrant or bottom piece there that are functioning, maybe even some leaders of the country at times? Yeah, and that's a little scary. Where do we get to accountability and what does it cost us? So I make that point, it'll come up over and over in the course. Other thing in terms of class and what you're doing, hey, the only real failure here is the failure to participate. So do not be shy. You get me talking fast like I am now. Well, stop me. Ask questions, say, hold the phone, coach. I need to understand that. Don't quite get it, whatever it is, or I want to make a point about something that I believe in. And don't be shy to step that up. And sure, take notes, be involved, do your homework, keep up with it a little bit, and you'll get a lot out of this. You're going to get a long-term learning process here that you'll use for the rest of your life. Many of the things. One of the whole approaches that I'm coming from is about, I can take somebody fishing like I have my son here in Glacier National Park, one of my favorite places in the world. It's called Lake Francis, It's right near the Triple Divide, an area where I touched 3 glaciers in about 2 days. That was pretty cool. And, you know, anyway, I don't know if those glaciers still exist with global warming, but the concept of, I taught my son, you know, how to fish, and he's feeding himself for a lifetime and he's successful accordingly. That's the kind of way you want to teach. That's the way you want to pick things up. One of the things that happens in learning is that people oftentimes get into information, they give it the arms crossed and say, I know all this. Well, if you aren't open to learning new things and kind of being, you know, hey, different stuff comes to me, get out of the I know. And when you have the desire to say that, as a mother and you know, mother and son relationship, there's been a time in life when you've said something like, your elbows shouldn't be on the table and when we're having dinner, and what do you get for responses? I know. But we say this to people oftentimes, it's just a, don't talk to me. And so we want to get out of that mode, and it's much easier, instead of saying that, isn't that interesting? Rather than saying, I know, you know, and I catch myself doing it, think about saying, isn't that interesting? And it keeps the conversation and the learning availability much higher. Because, you know, people do have things to add to your life. Well, you must be willing more than anything while you're in this class and what's going on to have some fun. You know, we have to make it fun. What's fun gets done. And I believe in that philosophy big time. I try to make everything I do fun because what the heck, you know, life can be too short and we don't need that. We got to have some fun along the way. Something you can expect from this class and what goes on, and it's very important that you recognize these. They're called blinding flashes of the obvious, all right, or aha moments. When 2 different pieces of information come together that you are not familiar or haven't connected with before, and because of what you're hearing in the class, or you hear from somebody else, or you just put together, and you have that aha moment, that's called blinding flashes of the obvious, and they're really important to record and keep track of. You know, when I'm going along in the class, I might say at the end, hey, how many BFOs happened? Or can you share one BFO you got out of that session? And I'd be hoping that the interaction would say, hey, this is what I picked up. We should be getting those quite often. I get my kicks out of that. I mean, my whole pay and everything I do, my work for, is about having that happen for people, because that's what my purpose is. So within that, you have a reticular activating system. We start to thinking about our goals. When I say an RA, a RAS, all right, it's something that you set in your mind. It's, you know, if you, for example, you go out and buy a brand new BMW 530i. Nobody, you know, not used to, but whatever, that 750, 7, whatever. You buy a car in a certain brand, and it's a car that you get, and then all of a sudden you're driving around and you see them everywhere where you didn't see them before. And it's because it's in your mind. You know, you already have in your mind, you're looking for things that are different, and that's like setting goals. If you set goals and set your compass to what you want in your goals in your mind, you've set your mind to find those, you find them. So it's the compass for the brain, and your goals set the compass. So you got to think about, what are my goals? How am I setting my reticular activating system? Am I telling myself these are the goals I want, and then, you know, have certain ways to make sure you remind yourself of those and things. But you get your RAS on track. That's key, and that's important for all kinds of things that are going to come up in the class in terms of how we mentally prepare to sell, how we get people to understand our selling even as part of getting the RAS in place. It's positioning, right? Positioning for whatever you're doing. So I'd like to share one training objective, and here's your opportunity to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about, introduce yourself and your business if you could. I'm not sure what order you want to go in. You can just volunteer, or I can call on you. Think about it for a second. What one thing would you want to have? Say, yeah, you know what I want out of this training is, sorry, my dog's going a little crazy in the background here. Not usual. That will not happen often. He's pretty well under control.
Maybe he wants the vodka, Coach.
Yeah. Yeah. He knows it's birthday night, and he smelled that ribeye steak. Is what's
Yeah, he's
going
ready
on.
for that bone.
So, all right, you want to start, Samantha? You got one training objective, and introduce us a little bit about Camp Bow Wow.
Okay, so my name is Samantha. I am the manager at Camp Bow Wow Cypress. I think all of y'all know Jose. He's my boss. So I'm out at his Cypress location. And guess my training objective for this class would just be to better plan out my goals and the plans on how to get there and achieve them.
Good, good, that's great. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah. Cheryl, you're next in line there. Can you-
Hi, I'm Cheryl Finney, and if I take away what we did today, I help you keep your happy hour clean crafted with Scout and Cellar wines in your glass. It's the first time I've done it without reading it, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
To share an objective, to be honest with you, Coach, I just have enjoyed any time I've ever been able to listen to you talk, and I always have a takeaway from it. So when I saw this opportunity, I thought this would be great, just to come and sit with you longer and listen longer, because I'm positive I will have a lot of takeaway from it.
Oh, great. Thank you very much. I'm somewhat humbled by that. Yeah, appreciate that. Teresa, you're a return here a little bit. You can.
I am a return. I am Teresa Vigil. I'm a CPA, and I started this coaching program back when he ran it, starting in June, and then as tax season, the extended tax season of the longest tax season ever in history, just got too much for me, and I didn't make the last 4 weeks. So I'm doing this again. And I really just need to get focused on moving forward in my goals and building my business bigger instead of just the status quo.
Great. Well, thanks, Teresa. Yeah. And Carol, I guess, do you want to go?
Hi, everybody. I'm Carol Jukes, and I'm the broker and CEO of Realty Pros International. We're a full-service real estate company. We are headquartered in Katy, but we service all of Houston. Coach Hess, you know I love you. That's why I'm here. But the one training objective for me is, in the midst of COVID, it's been a little different for our business. So I'm just looking for a way to kind of bring the team back together, bring everybody kind of home and keep us together and on the same path.
Excellent, excellent. Mitchell, you want to add anything there?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Mitchell Fusco. I also work at Realty Pros International. I'm specialized in first-time home buyers. I guess my one training objective is I'd like to try to learn to manage myself better, because I feel I'm either making a lot of money and working like crazy, or I'm flat broke and doing nothing, and there's no in between.
Rains or pours, huh?
Welcome
Exactly.
to the business world.
Yeah, it sounds like adulting to me.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, that's great. Well, thanks for sharing, everyone. Did I miss anybody? I don't think so. So, as you mentioned that, start with the end in mind. Setting your future. I mean, where do you want to end up? So when I start a coaching program, oftentimes, and we do an alignment up front, I look at where do you want to be in 30 years? 30 years. Now, when they ask me that question, turning 65 today, that's a little scary. But, you roll it back to 20, to 10, to 5, to 3. And, we get pretty good at starting to break those things down. We need to have that vision. And it's really worth it. And I've got some, you've got some exercises that I shared with you today that we'll talk about later in documents, so you can do that for yourself. So A to B, what does it look like? This comes from Stephen Covey as much as anybody. He always talks about having the end in mind. You're probably familiar with that type of thing. I like to talk about the law of precession. And that is that getting from A to B is one thing, but once you know what you want for B and you really have your focus on that, oftentimes you can put a point C down here. And what does that mean? You go down to point C, and what it is you learn more, you get better. And so what was a whole bunch of little humps going along this line from A to B, you get some new information and you do some quantum leaps, and you get to be much sooner because you've got better learning or other things that have influenced you to move quicker to your goal line. That's called the law of precession. All right, and I usually draw a C here and do all that, but I think you probably saw the vision from how I described it. It's breaking down the task because you get a bigger vision of what it is and you get new skills. And that's what learning is about, to give you the ability to quantum leap further. Why learning is valuable to us. So start with the end in mind. Think about that in your goal sheet that I gave you, your goal and milestone. What is the end in mind there? All right, so your company vision must be something almost unattainable, like reaching the farthest star. So now we're thinking about what is the vision for a company. Must be something almost unattainable, like way out there. Now, I shared with you documents from Action Coach. And I just want to jump over to that screen real quick. You can see that, you know, we're talking about a vision, a purpose, a mission. So there's a vision of world abundance through business re-education. That's really our vision. We want to have a coach in every business. We think should be just as important as Teresa is the accountant. And then we have our whole mission written out. And you've got that to compare when you start thinking about, well, do I have these in place for my business? If not, it's a good time to start thinking about it. We'll say more about setting that up. Let me get off the share and reshare here. Yeah, we're back. So something that's really far out there for your vision should be at least 100 years in the future. I mean, it's beyond you. So many people that have companies see themselves as the company, right? And this is the point where when you say your vision, you got to think it's more than me, bigger. It's got to be around for a long time, beyond my generation. And no reason be in second place and stuff. You know, there's just no reason. And I'm going to show you in this class how to establish yourself as the best of what you do because of your unique selling proposition that will be established. Nobody else does it like you. You can't be just another realtor. You can't be just another CPA. You got to be something that's better than everybody else by the way we set the positioning and definition around it. Can't bow wow. They believe this. You know, I mean, it's in their culture. I know I've had lots of talks with Jose about that. You know? So when we talk about a vision, but when you have a vision, like the world abundance through business re-education, it should enroll and inspire people. It should be something that pulls you in and goes, yeah, get me fired up about that because I see their vision. And it's not a goal, it's more of a legacy. So in a vision, we're talking about a legacy of things, right? Goal's a little different. Something you're living for. So when you're building your vision, some things to consider. Number one is, what are the core values of your business? What's the core purpose of your business? What are you trying to do with it? And what's your envisioned future for it? 3 pretty simple things.
So you say.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. Easy for you to say, Coach.
Well, we're going to give you some exercise that'll help you with that real quick here. But that whole values thing, you know, what do you really value yourself? Because what happens out of this vision is you start moving into your culture. And culture is just critical stuff. I'm going to give you, today I was on a deal with Don McCoy and I talked about culture and something came to my head that I remembered I have done. So I'm going to give you a coaching story now. Bear with me. Once in a while you get stories in this program. But as a basketball coach, one of the things I've established in my culture was that we were going to be the best defensive team ever for the, you know, California #1 conference at high school level. And so I started building the culture around, we had t-shirts that said Psycho D. We had a half-hour session in every practice that was totally dedicated to defense. Who practices defense? We did for a half hour. We believed in it. People dove on the floor, music crowd cranked up. I did all kinds of things to create. Well, the cheerleaders now had cheers that were Psycho D cheers. And then we had the pep band that had a Psycho D new tune, right? And all of that became the culture, which got us to be the #1 defensive team in the top division in California 3 years in a row. Less people scored, less points were scored against us. That doesn't mean we won everything, but we did real well. We were right at the top of it. And it was the culture. So that's the kind of culture when you think about your business, something that you grab onto, a little bit of what the rituals are, what the traditions are for our business. These are the ways we do things. And then we do them that way, and we get that vision and we get that culture strong, and people come in because the rituals and the things you do with your company are stronger than the person. And that brings people in line and gives you lots to go with. So I'm going to say more about that. I got a little excited about it and gave you front end information, but that's where we're heading with some stuff. So what words would best describe your business? We went through that earlier. You listed a few words, right? So you can think again, what words? That should be in your vision. Those words that you put there should be the words that already are. So we had that, if I still have that here up, and I can share some of the words that were there. You know, words like wine clubs, houses, different, fast-paced, happy, healthy pets, creating relationships. Are those the kind of words that you would put in your vision? You know, future, relationships, taxes, creating relationships, accounting. Well, you can also add in, what qualities do you see in your business? What are the real qualities about your business? Now, Cheryl, you can get off on that one. You high quality wine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can easily identify the qualities. But think about, you know, same with you. I know the kind of service you talked about this morning on BNI, Carol. That's quality, right? So you can identify those things. What qualities would you like to see in your business? Woo! Now you got to not only say, what do we have? What would we like to have as part of your vision? And then what are the qualities that set your business apart from others? That's getting to the whole unique selling proposition that you want to have in place for your business. Nobody else is like you. And if you have that and you can lean on that as kind of your catchphrase and everything, good things can happen. It's branding. Let's move on to mission statement. Any questions about that? We kind of hit the vision pretty fast, but you've got some examples. And like I say, it's something that we keep working on. It's not the first day and you kind of just get it. You got to work at it. And I maybe sell it as a little bit of, don't get too fired up about it. It's okay. But you'll get it. You'll get it. So the roadmap to the vision, right? Now we have a mission statement. This is the roadmap. This is how we're going to make our vision happen. So if you look on the documents that I share with you, you can see that the mission statement's pretty long for Action Coach. They don't have to be that long, but that's following what we've established as our vision and purpose. So in your mission statement, you should define who you are, right? You should say what business we're in. Make sure that we know that. Who are our customers? What are we looking for? Who do we like to please? Simple. And really, what makes us different? Whoop, I jumped ahead on you, sorry. Let's try my second Menti. You guys still have your Menti up?
Mm-hmm.
You can go in and same code, 262339, and you'll find a different question. We're going to rank the following values based on importance to building the culture of your company. And you can have 4 areas there. Pick which ones you want in what order.
What? I might just select an option, but it won't let me select an option.
Yeah, you kind of have
At
to
the
roll.
bottom.
Yeah,
Okay, there it is.
it's kind of a play around one. I remember that one. It's a little bit. You all right?
Yeah, I got it.
Wow.
I'm not done yet. Oh, I thought you meant, did I get to it?
So far we got what, one rank in, and as each of them come in, we'll see some adjustments. I love the interactivity of this. This is what's, I mean, it happens so quick. Yeah, it's a cool thing to use.
Oh, what?
So, yeah, I'll let you finish. You got 3. And there's everybody in, so boy, oh boy. You know, we're certainly feeling, whoop, that one moved up to second. So what these are you want to get 3 values out of each one of these to make your culture. As you can see on I think you can see this.
Yeah.
This is the 14 points of culture from Action Coach. So really, we should only have 12 if we're doing it the way it should be. But what it is how do you build your own culture? And so these are the areas where we want you to go. It seems like 3 values that are vital to you should be in your culture as the owner that you guys have rated the lowest. 3 values that are vital to your business succeeding should be listed as part of your points of culture. 3 points that are important to your team and staff on wanting to do their best. How do you motivate the staff? And then 3 for core to your customer. Make some sense?
Yeah.
Good. So when you're doing your 12 points of culture, this is what we were just going through. 3 values that are vital to you as the owner. You need to think about that. What is really important to me as an owner about this business? 3 values that are vital to your business succeeding. 3 that are core to your customers buying from you again and again. We put a lot of effort when we get into our 5 ways model and other things on how to get retention and get people to keep buying. Important for you, Cheryl. And how do you make, what kind of things can you do to get that happening more? And then 3, I shouldn't say just for you, it's for everybody. It's important, retention buying. It's the easiest way to get a referral. Referral marketing and retention marketing, that's the cheapest and best way because you have such, you don't have to sell a lot, you just get it done. And then 3 values that are important to your staff, team, wanting to do their best. Now, within my whole leadership section in the program, we spend quite a bit of time looking at how to make sure the team feels that they can take risks, how the team can, feel like they're really a part and have common goals. And they're also have an action plan that fits in with the values of the company. So this culture thing, when you got to lean on something for, hey, here's the rules of the game. This is the rules of the game. It's the rules of your company. If people are outside of this, then you can't put up with it. So it's really important stuff. All right, we'll talk a little bit about why set goals. Getting from point A to B, if you don't know where B is, you're going to be going around in circles. So direction and focus, movement and momentum. How do we keep going towards our goal? How do we keep on that line going for it? And really, the person you become. That's who you're going to become when you set your goals. So if you're not setting goals, then you're not becoming, hold it. You want to become what? Got to put that in place for yourself, right? So why set goals? Yeah, set goals. Absolutely. You're not going to get there unless you've got them set. And so that one document I gave on milestones and goal setting, that's what that's about. And those goals aren't to be set, I want you to work on them. You'll see the homework at the end. So goals need to be smart. When I have coaching sessions and then each week they come with four main goals for each week, and it's all online and everything, but every one of them, when we set the goals for the next week, it never fails. I've got to say, okay, is that specific? Are there results? Is it attainable? Is it measurable? Is there a time relationship to it? And so when you set goals, you've got to get a little bit more depth. Now you'll notice that the sheet that I gave you, when it says it shows you SMART, it also goes into some other clarity type numbers and other areas to get deeper on your goals. Good idea to think through that. So what is a successful business? What are we doing in this class? What are we trying to figure out? Well, this is it. A commercial profitable enterprise that works without you. This framework that I'm bringing to you from Action Coach is designed to do that in any business, not just, hey, we're this type of business, so you need to fit this framework will fit in to all businesses. And we've proven that many times over the last 27 years. So remember to work on your business, not just in your business. You'll hear me when I talk about time targets. What does it mean to work on your business? Well, it means you're right now doing it. You're learning, you're getting new information, new ideas about your business, so you're really working on it. When you're on the phone talking to somebody about, you know, buying a bottle of wine or, you know, fixing their taxes up or whatever, you're working in the business. So most people usually only ever have a job. Sometimes people who own businesses feel like they just have a job. In fact, people that own businesses sometimes pay themselves less than the people that are working for them because they can't afford to, because they have a job. They aren't owning a business. And they're this. Dangerous. Dangerous. So, goals for your business. When will it be finished? Very tough thing to put in your mind. But when I told you a commercial profit enterprise that's going to run without you, and I said to you, Teresa, at what point is this going to be running without you and you're going to be making residual income or basic income, passive income off it? Where would you put the stake in the sand? You don't have to answer them. Just, you know, think about where that would
I don't know.
Yeah, typically a lot don't. But once somebody does do that, you know, and as a coach, I work with people to put that stake in the ground. You work backwards and you take it to the lowest common denominator and figure it out and find out if that's realistic. If I'm going to have $1 million in my business by 2025 as part of my cash flow, whatever we figure out, whatever that is, if we break that down and say that's the revenue we need, well, today we're doing this. How do we get there? How do we break that down? And what does that mean for us in this month, in this week, on today? What is our break-even point today? So getting it down to the fine line is important. When will it be finished? Sale price, revenue, profit. What is your vision? You know, think long-term, think big. Now, Samantha, in your case, you're working for somebody in the business, not an owner. You know, and certainly you may want to someday own your own, you know, that may be your goal. I know that is a goal of Michaela's when she was in class. So you can think about that, but you can apply this not only internally to your business, but the picture of, I'm going to own a business. As long as small business comes back, it will. So here's your homework. Your vision, at least to start. Play around with that. Your mission statement. What can you do with that? You've got some stuff to direct you on that. I'm going to bring up my docs for you. One of the documents I gave you was creating a vision. Yeah, and so that's a 2-pager, and it really does get into some details. Incorporating your beliefs, give you some things to think about. So that's your support documents for today's lesson.
Okay.
Work on your 12 points of culture. See what you can get together on those. And again, these aren't the kind of things that our next class, on Thursday, you're like, we expect it to be done. That was freaking people out big time. I know, Teresa, I didn't space that out. Remember our last session? People go, what the heck, coach? I'm just taking a class here, man. I don't need to be like I'm in university. How about your goals for 1, 3, and 5 years? We find that people are pretty good on their 1-year stuff and kind of good on their 3, but 5, they never reach as far as they can. So push yourself a little when you think about that. I gave you a handout that's also called a dream builder. And on that document, it covers IVVM. We'll be talking about that in the next session. How to get some vision in place, you know, on how to get your dream to be times do equals have. Kind of get your idealization, visualization, verbalization, and materialization. You know, once you have an idea of something you want to be, we get these goals, the stream are in place, then we start to visualize it. What does it look like? We want to spend time actually meditating to that level or thinking about what it is. Then we get to verbalization where we say I am statement. Typically, yeah, right here, I have my I am statements that I read every day that reminds me what I'm trying to do in my dream building and my goals and so on. And then materialization is we describe how it feels, how it's going to be, what it's like. We get emotional with it. So that's a dream builder handout. And then you've got the handouts already for Action Coach as an example to use for all within that. So let me stop sharing. Any questions? We're right at the top of the hour, and I knew I could put it in. I like to end on time. I like to try to start on time. Any questions, thoughts? If I said, hey, was there a BFO you got out of today? Could you share one?
I really liked when you said that the successful business is commercial, profitable enterprise that works without you. Because I feel like we have a business, but if any of us take time off, like it just goes to shit. So.
Yep. Yeah, there's systemization and different things you can do, but I mean, people have to figure out things are going to happen when they're not. You know, anything we could do once in our life and get paid on it for the rest of our life, it's great. So a lot of building systems and things like that, things you want to, you know, get them running on track, work really well. Writing a book's a good way to do that.
Mine is starting with the end in mind, because I want to retire completely in 10 years. And if I don't have that, like, solid, I'll end up working 20 more years.
Yeah.
So I need to start planning for that 10-year mark.
Yeah. So we got you thinking about the stake in the sand. You know, now it's what does it take to do that? And you'll be able to put those pieces together. This course alone, that's great. Cheryl or Samantha, you have a BFO you can share?
There's no reason to be in second place. That really stood out to me. They were going over our numbers and how my location ranks with the rest of them today, and there's no reason to be in second place.
I love it. That's great. I've always believed that. It's like kissing your sister, you know?
That must be an athletic. Todd, my husband, says that all the time. It just weird little statements. It's like
Is
kissing
he
your
from
sister.
Idaho too?
What's that?
Is he from Idaho as well?
No,
I was wondering if I picked that up in Idaho.
Boy, but he was he was on his way to be a professional sports and baseball, but he played football and
Right.
everything. But anyway, my BFO, I have to say that I have been struggling with being able to get visions and create goals and things of that nature, and have been kind of hoping for or wanting to take some sort of a class like this.
Ooh.
And to be quite honest with you, this morning when you mentioned that you were going to start something, I had no idea truly what it was. And so I'm sitting here going, oh, okay. Law of attraction, God said, here it is. Put
It
it on
happens that way.
I went, oh, dang. I just think I just stumbled into something I've been wanting to do.
That's great. Wow, thank you. That's great. Yeah, you mentioned the law of attraction. One of the things that I recommend everybody watches at some point, if you haven't, is a documentary called The Secret. It's on Netflix, and it's really it's about I don't know, have a glass of wine, sit down. It's probably 65 minutes or so, but it's powerful, and it gives you the idea. It's nothing magic or anything else. It's just the law of attraction and how we need to see this and how much difference it can make in our lives.
I think it just brings awareness to the ideas of how much control you can have with just your thoughts. And don't get crazy about it, but just be aware, you know, just awareness. That's like this. I was thinking, gosh, I really wish I really would need to take time. I need to find somebody I could trust, blah, blah, blah. And you mentioned this morning, I watched you on Chamber Chat this morning also, and had a couple takeaways there. And here I am, fumbled right into what I've been looking for.
So glad to have you. All right. Well, thank you all very much. We'll be on again Thursday, 4 o'clock. Teresa, did I leave you out?
I was going to say bye. I've got somewhere I got to go. So.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that right.
Oh, I said I was just gonna say goodbye because I need to go.
Oh, okay. All right. Hey, Augie, thank you very much. Have a
Bye,
nice evening.
everybody. Thank you,
I'm getting my
Coach. Happy
birthday wine.
birthday.
Oh,
Yeah,
happy
happy
Birthday
birthday.
celebration.
happy
Thank
birthday.
you.
Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good
All right.
evening.
Bye.
You
See y'all
too.
Thursday. Bye.